Guys, everybody is motivated in week 1 of the fat loss phase, but when it gets to week 6 and the hunger starts to creep in and the motivation starting to wear thin and you're in the kitchen at 9 p.m. on an evening after another day of trying to tick the boxes, and you've done well so far, but now you're fucking hungry and you're looking at the fridge and you're looking at the cupboard and you're thinking, oh fuck, I could go ham right now. Maybe you've had a stressful day at work. Maybe you come home and you just want an ice cold beer, just like the old version of you used to do. The one that's fucking out of shape, fat, lazy, and unhappy with his life. The guy that you're trying not to be in this process. Well, I could just have one little snack. I could just have a nice cold beer. And then your brain starts coming up with all of these excuses and just finds a way. It's just like water finds, creates a river. It just finds the easiest way down. That's what your brain does. It starts to justify that actually you don't really need to stick to your word, and you don't really, it doesn't matter that much. Just do it. Just go for it. The minute you lose that battle, you've lost the whole thing. You've lost the war. And this is what most people do not understand when it comes to achieving a shredded physique. The people that can't do it, the people that find fat loss very hard, they don't understand the significance of losing those small, seemingly insignificant battles, because they're really, truly not insignificant. And that really is the point. Fat loss is the same level of difficulty for every single person. Even the guy that's 300 pounds versus me right now. This is I took this picture this morning. I'm getting the last little bit of body fat gone now. I can get more shredded than that. It's the same level of difficulty. It's harder for him because he's got such a longer journey, but it's the same fucking process. We have the same feelings of wanting to eat. One of us will master it and one of us won't. And that's the difference between the guys who are in shape and the guys who just can't seem to ever fucking do it. And that might be you right now. You might have tried multiple times. You might have failed multiple times. The difference is in mindset. The difference is in decision making, because right now you act on impulse and emotions. You get a feeling or a thought that I'm hungry, I would love some food right now, and you just act. There's no space between the thought and the action that you take. So you're very much just like a fucking animal. You're like a wild dog. Whatever it gets in his head, he's just going, yeah, I'm doing that. There is no thought or consideration over what the implications are, what the consequences are, how shit you're going to feel after, and what's the actual reason you're here in the first place. Why are you even working so hard in the first place? Like, what's the end goal, right? Because that's the thing you really want. That's the thing that's called you to action, but you don't even consider that. Success requires you to make decisions based on what you need to do, not what you feel like doing. And that is a blanket statement for everything in life that you want to succeed at. I don't want to always make these videos, guys. I actually really do enjoy making these videos. I do. But I would be lying if I said I want to fucking do every single one. I would be lying if I said I wanted to get up at 4 o'clock this morning and go to the gym. I don't want to do it all the time. I am hungry, but it doesn't even come into my fucking mind what I want to do. It's just what I need to do. And discipline is choosing between what you want now versus what you want the most. What you want the most is to kill this fucking weak, pathetic version of you that you're currently living as and become the man who you know you need to be. Shredded, jacked, disciplined, confident. You already know this, right? But you got to keep that at the forefront of your mind. This is, this is why you've got to win these battles. And so you acting on impulse and emotions, it's this here. This, you get hungry, you have two options. You raid the fridge, you raid the cupboard, or you grab a beer, because that's what you feel like you need to do in that moment. Or you man the fuck up and you do what you need to do and you stick to your macros. It's no more difficult than that. It really, really fucking isn't, guys. And this is a mental muscle that you need to build. I'm going to tell you how to build that. That's all this is. when I get the feeling of I'm hungry, there's no more thoughts after that point. It ends there because I end it. I don't fuel it. What you guys do is you go, oh, really, I'm hungry. Oh, what would I like to eat right now? Oh, and then you start thinking of all the snacks you've got in the cupboard, and you go, oh, that would be nice, wouldn't it? Well, actually, that one's probably a little bit too bad. If I'm going to cheat, I'll just have this one because that's not too bad. Or maybe, and you just start to fucking justify it all, and it just gets all fucked up. You give fuel to the fire. Cut that shit off. When you get that thought, come straight back into this. What do you want the most? Why are you here? Why are you doing this work? Why are you fucking watching these videos? Who do you want to be? You've heard in many of my other videos, if you're a subscriber or you've stumbled across my channel before, keeping the goal at the forefront of your mind, that is absolutely imperative, guys. You've got to always know why you're even doing this in the first place. That is your bargaining chip against what you want now. If you don't have that clearly defined, if it's not exciting, when you get that feeling of what you want now, when you think about cheating on your diet, there's nothing to counteract that thing. Let me give you an extreme example so you can see what I'm talking about here and you see the effectiveness of it. If you thought, oh, I'd love a chocolate milkshake right now, but you need to hit your macros and that would fuck it up. If I said to you, if you don't eat that chocolate milkshake, I give you £1 million. There's no way you're going to eat it because you know what you're getting on the other side. Now, I know that's an extreme example, but it's the same thing. It's like the only reason you're doing a fat loss phase in the first place is because you don't want to be who you are and you want to move towards who you want to be. That's got to be at the forefront of your mind all the time. You need to build this muscle and you need to put the reps in. Now, you'll have heard lean is law across social media, on reels and shit, and people talk about it all the time, and it's always said in the sense of like gym bros saying that you should be lean because being leaner is better. Now, I will back that up. Being lean is fucking phenomenal. And I try and stay lean year round. And I do push food up, and I push food up with clients as well, but we don't do the typical bulk. Don't bulk, guys. You do not need to bulk unless you want to be a bodybuilder. Bulking is dead and gone. You do not need to bulk. You can push food up. You can gain a little bit of body fat in that performance phase. You don't need to put on excessive amounts of body fat. Staying lean makes you feel, you just feel at the top of your game in everything, right? But I've got my own spin on lean is law. I like to think of it as a rite of passage, a ritual that every single man must do at some point in his life. And the real true reason why, and this is something that I learned from my own journey, is it's the easiest way to put yourself back in the driver's seat of your own life. And many people think they're in control of their own life, but they're not, because all right, you go to work 5 days a week and you have all these responsibilities and shit, but what most people, how they're living is just making easy decisions, right? Rather than pursuing your passion, you just got this fucking job and because it guaranteed pay, but it's kind of soul destroying, and now you're giving up in all the other areas of your life as well, and then you let your body go, and it just slips under the radar because society favors weak men. Society will support your descent into weakness because that's what everybody else is doing. If you get like 10% body fat, I saw this stat the other day, it puts you in like the top 1% of society. Do you know how fucking retarded that is? Do you understand how lazy the world is? Do you understand how easy it is to beat everybody? Everyone is weak. Everyone is weak. Everyone is drifting through life. And you need to control your life. You need to be in full conscious control of every single thing that you do. Getting lean and mastering or using it as a vehicle to teach yourself that actually I don't have to act on impulse and how I feel. I make decisions based on the shit I need to do as a man. That's how a man operates. That's the easiest way to do it. And I know that you find fat loss hard right now. And that's why you click on the video. And I'm saying this is the easiest way for a man to put himself in the driver's seat. But it truly, truly is. It truly is. Now, when you hear people say, or when I hear people say regarding losing body fat, it's too hard for me. I just can't do it. I tried, it was just too hard. I couldn't possibly do it. I couldn't do those calories for any longer. I'm starving. I literally, I had to eat. I had to eat. There was nothing I could do. You sound like a bitch. Now, I get it. I once had never been in shape, and I did my first fat loss phase. I'm going to show you a picture of that in a second. I know how hard it is the first time you do it. But I want you to be looking at these kind of phrases that you come out with as a huge red flag for where you're at in life right now. Because if this is the easiest way to get back in the driver's seat of your own life, and you find that so hard that you can't fucking do it, that says everything you need to know about the mindset that you currently have. There are kids in Africa who eat fucking mud because they don't have food. And they live their whole life. I don't even know what they eat. I've seen the videos where, you know, like some aid charity goes and drops off this, like, looks like porridge. I don't even know what it is. Those guys are starving. You ain't starving. You've got 3 meals a day. You just can't pig out and eat all the snacks and pizza that you want and shit. You need to fucking man up. That's the first thing, you know. You got to man up, and you've got to look at your situation that you're in and say, I am being a bitch. That's not just putting yourself down for no reason. That is to empower you to realize that actually, if I'm struggling over this, my life is not going to end up going in the direction that I want it to go in. This is fucking crucial. Now, this is my first ever fat loss phase. This is when I got lean. This isn't shredded. This is closer to shredded. This is the same picture that was on the opening slide. This is, again, this is a photo that I took this morning. I'm 94.7 kg in this picture here. I will probably push this down to about 92, 91. That will be truly shredded. There is, I know it doesn't look like it, there is more body fat to come off this. The point I want to make here, though, there's 5 years between these pictures, and I've done around 6 fat loss phases. Okay, so pushing food up, bringing it down, up, down. And every single one of those fat loss phases has become easier and easier and easier, to the point now where it's just automatic. I'm not even thinking about it. And that is purely reps. That's building the mental muscle, right? I don't associate with my thoughts, not all of them. Guys, you can think about anything. Now, I might be a fucked up guy, but when I get on a high-rise building or a balcony of some like fucking hotel, and I look over the edge, I have a thought in my mind that is telling me to jump off. Now, that is a ridiculous thought. I'm not going to associate with that thought. I'm sure you guys have had similar shit. It's just an intrusive thought that you get, right? You get these weird, wacky thoughts. When they're extreme, you immediately dismiss it. And you go, well, obviously I'm not going to fucking do that. And my brain's just playing tricks on me. That's how you need to be looking at all of your thoughts. You know, just because you have a thought, it doesn't mean it's you. It doesn't mean that's your identity. It doesn't mean that is a fact. It's just a thought. So you have to build up this almost detachment from the self. My brain is telling me to do this thing. Let me pause a second before I act. Is this going to be good? This isn't just fat loss, guys. This is texting that girl, texting that ex, or anything in life, right? You've got to be able to decipher between what path and what direction that you need to go down in life. And that's a wider, obviously, topic than just fat loss, but it's to show you that, right? You need to start to just be more aware of how your mind actually works, and that will give you so much power when it comes back to this niche thing now of like beating temptations and quitting bad habits and vices. But it's ultimately it's about reps. So modern life, modern society, and all of the options that we have for being comfortable, which is present at every single point in the day. I think of it like death by 1,000 cuts, where you wanted to go or let's just start from the beginning of the day, right? Your alarm went off at 6 a.m. and you snoozed it and you got back in bed for another 10 minutes. You don't gain anything out of snoozing that alarm and getting back in bed for 10 minutes. Nothing. But you fucking lose a lot. You lose a lot because you've just lost that mini battle. And that is essentially just what life is now for people. Like, there's so many things they need to do, but there is always an abundance of options of things that could take the place of what they have to do, which is probably around something that's maybe work, or maybe training, maybe running. Something that's like, oh, I don't really want to do that. Actually, I'll just watch TV, or I'll put Netflix on, or and that's how you end up in a position where you can't tolerate anything. You can't tolerate any kind of discomfort. So in order for us to reverse engineer that, if you truly want to be able to be this guy that can get shredded with ease and you can master your impulses, you've got to reverse that process. Fitness has to be the focal point of your life. It just has to be. And I could give you a million, trillion fucking reasons for that. But in terms of the frame that we're talking about in this video, I want you to think about that decision, right? What you want now versus what you want the most. If you decline what you want now because it's serving a purpose of giving you in time what you want the most, you are essentially depositing into the bank account of self-trust, into the bank account of resilience and mental strength. And it won't seem like a lot with one singular deposit, but over time it stacks up. And when you have a fitness goal, your life then operates within these parameters of things that you should and shouldn't do. So if you want to get in shape, get jacked, get lean, you're going to have training boxes to tick. You're going to have nutrition guidance to follow. You're going to have supplements. You're going to have to watch your alcohol intake. You're going to have to manage eating out, right? There is added into your life these parameters to operate with. And within that, you're basically, without realizing, you've got this opportunity to get the reps in and to stack evidence. Now, you will stack evidence one way or another, because the opposite to the bank account of self-trust and building resilience is losing willpower and becoming weak. And every time you lose that battle, a coin, a deposit has to go in one or the other. So you are going to stack evidence one way or another. So that's a question for you right now. If you could pull up on your phone this magical bank account that we're talking about, and one was the disciplined version of you every time you did what you needed to do, not what you felt like you were doing. And then the other account was every time you crumbled and you lost, which one would be the bigger bank balance? That is basically why you're at the position that you're in right now. That's why you find fat loss so hard, because it's the hardest thing you've ever done in your life up until this point. It's not truly that fucking hard, but it's the hardest thing that you've ever done up until this point in your life. And winning the war is about winning every individual battle. And I would love to be able to give you something that was more of a framework to work with here, guys. But you don't even fucking need it. You just need to man up. You need to start winning those battles. You need to microdose discomfort. There's so many ways, right? But wake up early. Set your alarm half an hour earlier off the back of this video. Cold shower at some point in the day, just because you don't fucking want to. That's the only reason. People will talk about cold showers, about vasoconstriction, and it flushes all the lactic acid out the muscles and all this fucking shit. Fuck all that. Just do it because you don't want to do it. Do it because you're going to come out of it thinking, I just did something that I didn't want to do. Well, I can do that again now. When you train fucking hard. You look back at each set and you think, could I have pushed a little bit more there? Say no to small impulses, quit bad habits. That's all it is, guys. I promise you. Now, the mindset of this guy versus this guy is the proof of this. Everything was friction here. And this is just effortless. And that's just an identity thing over time of getting the reps in. That's all it is, guys. So, appreciate you watching. I hope that shared some value. Stick around for the next video. Go and apply what we've spoken about. Grab the training plan, daily habit system if you want it. Give yourself the foundations that you need to start this process properly. And just start moving towards that guy, right? It's not going to happen overnight, this, guys. You need to be stacking evidence. And you need to do it again and again and again and again. You've got to reverse engineer the death by 1,000 cuts that you're currently feeling the negative effect of. You've got to reverse that process. You have to start building evidence that you can become that guy in order to become that guy.